in the news tonight. Well, you're going to want to hear this. Listen to this. New waste, fraud, and abuse is being uncovered in the housing sector. A nonprofit set up to help homeowners reeling from the housing bust raked in $2 billion from taxpayers. But where is that money going? Our next guest says homeowners may not be the ones actually benefiting from this group. Republican Congressman Bob Goodlatte of Virginia, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, joins me now. Welcome to the show, sir. Great to have you here. Before we get to NeighborWorks America, I have to ask you about Israel. A report today in the Wall Street Journal saying they spied on U.S.-Iranian negotiations on nukes. What do you make of that?
Well, there's not much available information about it yet. The Israelis deny that it took place. I think it's interesting that the administration seems more concerned that the Israelis were allegedly going to share the information that they found with members of Congress than they were about the fact that they may have been spying on the talks in the first place. But we're interested in finding out more about that.
Do you oppose the deal with Iran?
I do oppose the deal with Iran. I have every hope that we can go back to putting greater pressure on Iran, because I really think that that's what it's going to take to get them to actually really move away from nuclear weapons and allow the kind of full inspection that it would take to cause anybody in the West to trust that they are indeed not producing nuclear weapons.
All right, I want to transition to the NeighborWorks America story. And this congressman is fascinating and unfortunately not very surprising. So a not-for-profit getting $2 billion from the federal government, presumably to help people who are underwater on their mortgages, to give them money, to help them out with their mortgages. That's not really what happened. Tell us what happened.
Well, what really happened was that the administration entered into settlements with major banks in which they incentivized organizations like La Raza and NeighborWorks to get payment from the banks at a higher rate of credit than they would if they simply gave the money to the government for the benefit of the taxpayers who were allegedly harmed in the first place. So it was like an incentive deal that if you give money the way we tell you to distribute it, we'll give you more credit than if you just pay the fine the way you've negotiated the settlement. The problem with that is that it bypasses the Congress and our oversight of these programs and these nonprofit organizations that have
Congressman, I have to say,
activities.
that seems to be very common these days. Another worrisome part of this are the sweetheart deals that happen. There were NeighborWorks America employees who got no bid contracts, apparently, in this whole thing. Where's the oversight on this?
Well, now that we have become aware of this through the settlements that were made with the banks, we have demanded that the Department of Justice provide us with the documentation behind all of this. And between us and the Financial Services Committee, chaired by Jeb Hensarling, we intend to get to the bottom of this. This has all of the makings of the problems we had several years ago with Acorn and other organizations that were getting, as you described them, sweetheart deals to do things other than help the American people.
Here's the NeighborWorks quote. I want you to respond to this. They say, "We continuously enhance our internal control environment and address any weakness, including those identified by auditors, in order to excel in the work that we do as trainers, administrators, and grant makers." I've looked at this for a couple of days now, Congressman, and it seems to me that this was not an organization that was prepared to take on the amount of work, the amount of responsibility, and the amount of federal dollars they were given. What's your analysis?
Everything I've seen would agree with your analysis. We want to get more documentation about this, but this is an organization that I do not think was ready for prime time, and I do not think is in the best interests of the American people in terms of getting dollars, and particularly the enormous dollars that they've received ostensibly to help people with struggling mortgage situations. Instead, what we're finding is that the executive branch is doing this in conjunction with these organizations outside of the oversight that should be taking place both here in the Congress and in the department itself.
A brand spanking new scandal, and we'll have to leave for another night. The people who are on the board of this organization, shocking. Congressman, thanks for coming on the show tonight. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Gerri.